Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Higher Self Hypnosis session. My name is Tracy, and I have my lovely client Kendra here with her face and name covered. So you can't see her last name and you can't see her face, but that's not the point of this anyway. It's being shared so that any healing she gets, any wisdom, advice, amazing nuggets from her higher self, that everyone else can benefit from that and get healing, because when one of us heals, we all heal, and then we get to do amazing things like raise the vibration of the planet, which is the coolest thing ever. So this is part one, where I get to learn everything about Kendra so that when she's under hypnosis, I get to know which direction to take follow-up questions as they come along. So we're going to pretend the camera's not on now, Kendra. And you already told me your age and where you live. So fire away and tell me all about you. And I'm going to be looking forward at my other computer while I take lots of notes and
Sure,
put the list of questions together. Okay.
sure. So I grew up kind of in the country.
Okay.
My mom was a teenage mom, and she remarried when um, I think I was like 2 or 3 years old. So I grew up with that dad, like that's who I thought was my dad until I was like maybe 10.
Okay.
So my real dad was never a part of the picture until I was about 10 years old. I was in a really bad ATV accident that
Oh,
where I was like life flighted and the whole thing. So, then that's like when all the stuff comes out, right? Because, there's a tragedy. So, up until that time, like I just pretty much had um a pretty normal childhood when I was little. Just my mom and dad were pretty successful and worked or whatever. And then both of my parents turned into addicts. So it got a
after your
little.
accident?
No, like before my accident.
Okay, so
So
so did the stepdad, did he adopt you, or he never legally adopted you?
so never legally adopted me.
Mhm.
Actually, funny enough, we were in a really, really small town. So I always had his last name. I think when they enrolled me in school, like they just put his name down. And so that's what I thought my name was, like forever. But I
Wow.
was never legally adopted. So
Okay.
like that would never happen today. Isn't that crazy?
No,
Like
because you'd have to have a paper trail, right? Yeah, that would never happen. That's crazy.
so
How old were you when your parents became addicts? And do you mean drug addicts, alcohol? What
So
did
I
they?
think it was mainly alcohol, and then I think it was drugs, like, after my accident, so, like, after the age of 10. But, yeah, they just had a super volatile, tumultuous relationship, like, I would say probably after the age of, like, 7 or 8, and, um, we're from this small town, so my stepdad knew everybody in the town, so he was never held accountable or nothing ever happened. Sounds like a movie, I know. Like I didn't
Right.
have my real last name.
Right.
um and so like, a couple times we had to go to a homeless shelter. Like my mom and the kids were always the ones that were escorted out. So it was just me and my one other brother at the time, who was 7 years younger than me. So
So how long did they stay together, for years, and then you
yeah,
guys just kept finding yourselves getting kicked out of the house?
yeah, they really stayed together for years. I think my mom tried to leave, but it was just kind of impossible. And so when I was 10 in 1987 and I got in this accident, that was kind of what shook up everything. So everybody came out of the woodwork, like my real dad. Um, and when I got out of the hospital, I think I was there for like 6 months. When I got out of the hospital, that's when like they never were together again. That
Okay.
that was kind of the break. So I was actually in my stepfather's care when that happened. And my mom was, I don't know where she was actually, but so I think that was it for her.
Were you supposed to be on the ATV or no?
No, so it was a family friends. It was like a grown man size ATV wheeler, and we had it because they had a barn that burnt down, and so my dad let me and my girlfriend go on it. I was in the front seat, or I wasn't driving, And she was from back, and I was probably, when I was 10, I was probably like 70 pounds. I was really
Oh,
tiny.
okay.
So we were going around a neighbor's house. The throttle stuck. We went across the street. It was a dead end in the country, so no traffic.
Right.
Across the street, we hit the front porch. I went airborne and hit the house head on.
Oh
And
my gosh.
so I had all head injuries, and my girlfriend that was on the back of it had all broken bones, like from head to toe. So it was a pretty bad accident. And I was life flighted. And so I'm sure that all kinds of things transpired in that couple of months that I was
Yeah.
there that I wasn't aware of. So when I got out, everything was kind of different.
Mm. And your brother would have been about 3?
Yeah, like 3 or 4.
Okay. Okay. So tell me about once you got out.
Yeah, so when I got out, so I mean, it's so crazy. It's like I remember being wheeled out of the hospital, and my stepdad was supposed to pick us up, and he never showed up. There's
Mm.
my mom and me on the curb of the hospital with all these balloons and bags of stuffed animals. And I mean, I was there for a long time, and he never showed up. Then it glitches. I don't really remember anything. I remember us going to the house, and I was in the car, and my mom got out. My mom came back into the car, and it was, I think it was just known that there was like a huge party going on, like a bender, because it was the middle of the day and people were sleeping. And so my mom was like, we're just going to go. She had rented this apartment, but it was like, do you know those old Victorian homes where they break them up, where like the
Yeah.
bottom is an apartment? So we
Yeah.
were upstairs. So it was like 8 million stairs. And I had just been released from the hospital. I didn't have any broken bones, but cognitively, I just wasn't there. So I had to like learn things like that the potatoes go in the pantry and the milk goes in the fridge. I would get
Mhm.
things mixed up like that. And went to the neurologist a few times, but I never really had any like professional therapy for that. I just, in that life, because it was very chaotic, I just had to get it together. So it was kind of like just survival.
So when you say you went to the house and there was a party going on in the middle of the day, you went to the house where you guys had been living with the stepdad
Yeah.
and the brother was still there?
I think my brother was with me at the time.
Okay. Okay. So
I
then
don't really remember.
I'm sorry. And then you guys went to the apartment
Mhm.
upstairs in that house.
Yeah.
And then that was it with stepdad?
Yeah, that was it. I think that I saw him one other time. I think he kind of came to say goodbye, and then that was it. And that was, I'm 44. So that was a long time ago.
That was definitely a wake up call for mom to get out of that situation, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you want to ask like what the purpose was for that accident and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's really kind of crazy because I mean, I was life flighted. It's my understanding that they asked my mom to, like turn off the life support machines like once or twice, maybe even. And then like it's just like one day I just woke up out of a coma and I was fine. I mean, aside from like little residual things, like I said, but I mean, I was totally fine. So that's just a really bizarre thing.
Are you a walk-in?
I don't know.
Let's ask.
So that's always been a question of mine, is like, that's quite an event to go through.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Whoa.
you hear about that, like, somebody saying, "Oh, let's just turn off the life support or it's time to get off
Yeah.
or whatever."
How long before when you were you in a coma when they suggested that she turn off the life support?
So I think that it was about 30 days. I think it was a month.
Wow. And mom was like, "No."
Yeah, like no, there's no way. So I don't know if you remember, but like back in the day there was Kinney shoe stores.
Mhm.
You remember those? So like Kenny shoe stores sponsored my family. there was a prayer chain from like Detroit to Toledo, like before internet or anything. Like that was a pretty big deal, I would say. But the magnitude of that is still, lost somewhere because I wasn't really a part of any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like somebody just told me that story about, so it just feels like it happened to somebody else.
Wow. Okay. So, what was the purpose or purposes of the ATV accident when she was 10 years old?
Yeah, because like I said, it really feels like all kinds of things happened with that. Like my dad surfaced, my stepdad left physically. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of crazy. And, my mom really got her shit together. Like she went through treatment. She really worked on herself.
Wow. So then was dad a part of your life since that day?
So for a little bit, it was very awkward. It was like he just showed up one day, literally knocked on the door. I had no idea that he existed. And I was like, Mom, somebody's here. And she was like, Can you get it? And, you know, he was like, Hi, I'm your dad. And I was like, What? And so it was really awkward. He was from a very different life than what I was used to. He was like really outdoorsy, came from a very, very poor family. And we were poor, but I didn't know it. So it was kind of different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like my mom always dressed us well, and you know what I mean? And this was just kind of a different. So he would come and take me to lunch, and we went to SeaWorld. I met a sister that I had from him with a different mom, obviously. But they were just so different. And there was never any explanation. So I just always felt like I was there. Like there was no connection. It was really weird. I was, imagine at that time, like by the time I got out of the hospital and he would actually come and pick me up, I was probably like 11
Okay.
or 12. So I would like beg friends to go, like I just never want to be by myself because I felt really weird. I know um, a couple times that he picked me up, he was with a girlfriend who I'm still in contact with now, and he was under the influence. So that was like the end for me, because that was really weird. Like, what are we even doing here? Even as a kid, I kind of knew that.
So you told your mom, I don't want to go with him anymore?
Yeah, yeah. I was
Okay.
like, I mean, probably in kid terms, but like he's wasted. And this is just weird. So that just kind of drifted apart. I mean, that was a very short amount of time. We would talk every once in a while. When I got to be of driving age, I think I like visited him a couple of times. Um, and then he actually went to prison. The last time I looked him up was probably in like 2003. And when I looked him up, I had found a mugshot. He was in prison. Um, his release date was like 2096.
So he did something bad.
So I think collectively, like he had a lot of charges, and then he ultimately, like he escaped from prison a couple of times,
Oh, wow.
and then he had a huge meth lab, which is I think the big one.
Dang.
So then in about 2000 and well, I'm 44 and I was probably like 29 at the time. I got a phone call saying, your dad was released from prison and they just found him dead.
Oh.
So he was only out a couple of weeks and they found him in the hallway of a hotel. He had OD'd. So obviously there's a lot of speculation there. Like, did he roll over on somebody get out and then someone had him murdered or whatever. But I never really cared enough to find out. I wasn't really
Right.
that emotionally attached. So any kind of grieving process or anything that I went through was really about, finality, what was never going to be. It wasn't actually about that person.
It was grieving the dad you wish you could have had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that was like when I was 29. So there was never really any relationship there, but
Do you feel like you have any lingering grief or feelings about him one way or the other, or you feel like you're pretty much over that?
I think I'm pretty good with that. Like
Okay.
I just think he was a kid and he was,
Got it.
he did drugs from the time my mom was a kid.
Yeah.
So like when they were kids in high school. So I don't like look at him even as like having an adult brain, if that makes any
Right.
sense. So
Right.
I'm not, my feelings aren't hurt about anything because I just think he was a kid that never grew up.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm pretty good with that.
Wow. Okay. And so mom started getting herself together.
Yeah. So my mom got herself together and she got married, had another baby. Um, we moved to like right outside of the Detroit area, I think, so she could get out of this small town and get out from underneath, like the rumor mill and, all that kind of stuff. And then my mom was just, she just kind of put herself first. So her husband came first, her new baby came first. I ended up moving out when I was about 15 years old. I moved out with a friend of mine, well, just with her and her family, right? Because we were kids. And then,
So why was that? You just felt like there's no place for me here or what?
yeah, I mean, so when my mom got remarried, she just remarried this jerk, who just basically wanted to, pick and choose who he loved in the house. So it was like my mom and his kid. And then me and my brother were just kind of, it was like we were always grounded. We only, it was like we were just around to clean the house. Um, my mom still was struggling, so I think she got married and she thought life was going to be a little bit easier and she was still struggling. So she was just so unhappy. She was just rough to be around. She was real rough. Everything was an inconvenience. So if you got a bad grade in school or if um, just to exist, you know what I mean, was an inconvenience for her, to be honest with you. So, you just try to stay as quiet as you could and not make a ruckus. And so, at this first sight of me feeling like I could even get out of that situation, I had a friend that said, "You can come stay here." My mom, my parents don't care. So I did.
Her
And
parents, they did you tell them or they knew what was going on and they
yeah, well, they kind of knew, but I mean, you know, she kind of did whatever she wanted. And I think,
uh,
she ran the house. It wasn't, I didn't go into their houses, into their home as like a loving home where they were going to be like
uh,
parenting me. It was like I was allowed to live in their basement. I
okay.
was just allowed to crash there. So we got into a lot of trouble. We, smoked a lot of weed. We did a lot of drugs. Um, she was wild and crazy. And I was super, super, super timid. I mean, even at 15 years old, like I had just come out of this accident. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I had lost a whole year of my life pretty much,
Right.
seventh grade. So I did seventh grade twice.
Okay.
Um, so that it was just a lot. I think I was just kind of like rolling with it, like going with the flow.
And so you said you were smoking marijuana or what were
Yeah.
you doing? Okay.
Yeah. We were smoking a lot of weed. We took a lot of acid,
Ah, okay.
a lot of LSD. Um, and then I couldn't wait to get out of that situation. Like
Okay.
I just knew like it was awful. I was just kind of like still, I think as a kid, like just yearning for a home,
Okay.
like a real home. So I met this guy named Mike Tripoli, and he came from like the Beaver Cleaver household. Like his
Ah,
dad owned a business and he fixed everything. And, he was the best dad ever. And his mom was just like amazing. And so we started dating
okay.
and I got pregnant.
Okay.
I was 17 and we moved into his parents' house. And kind of again, like they agreed, but obviously they weren't overjoyed. They didn't know me at all. You know, my um we're divorced now, but my ex-husband was a lot for them, as you can imagine, bringing this girl home like we're pregnant. But in a really weird way, they were really accepting.
Okay.
Like they weren't crying, they weren't mad. It was really weird. So I ended up having a miscarriage.
Oh, okay.
And so at that point, I'm 17. I'm estranged from my mother. I have moved out of this girl's house. I'm planning to be with this guy. And now I'm like, holy shit, like what happens to me now? You know what I
Right.
mean? So basically, we have this conversation and I'm like, you're totally off the hook. Like you can go do whatever you want. I'll figure it out.
Right.
And he was like, no, I mean, I love you. I want to be together. This is what we planned. So um, his parents just like took me in like like
Mm.
100% daughter, 100%. So now I'm
So
getting,
did you tell them like kind of what your background was, and they were like, "Oh
yeah,
my
I mean,
gosh."
just going through, well, first of all, why is this girl moving in with us and why isn't she with her mother?
Right.
You know? And then when I went through having that miscarriage, which was pretty rather quick after I moved
Uh,
in, I mean, it was pretty apparent that like my mom wasn't there. She wasn't coming. And so his mother took care of me through that. Like even though it was only like a day or two process, it was like, coming home from the hospital and making sure that I was okay. Like that was it. That's all it took
right.
to
Right.
solidify that relationship. So they pretty much had the gist of it.
Back on the recording. All right. So his mother took you in after you had the miscarriage, and did you end up living there until you graduated high school, or what happened?
Nope. So we were looking for an apartment and
Okay.
they offered to buy us a house because at that time, um, what we could buy a house for would be less the payment than it was for rent. So
Yeah.
they bought us a little house, um, and we moved in there.
And you were still going to high school, right?
I was still going to high school, and then I quit high school shortly after that.
Did you graduate?
I got a GED the same
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So it was just such a weird situation looking back on it. It was almost like me going to school was an inconvenience to everyone.
Wow. Okay.
And I don't
So,
really
mhm.
know, looking back, what my game plan was. I guess I was just going with the flow.
Well, you were just in survival. I mean, you didn't have anyone to
Right.
like, support you or teach you or anything. So, do you feel like, and I don't know your story now, but so let me just ask this: do you feel like you have any trapped emotions left from that time, or have you done a lot of healing work on yourself and feel like, now I'm really actually like really good with all that stuff that happened to me in the past? Like, do you have trapped rejection or abandonment or anything like
So,
that?
yeah, I think that I do. I mean, because
Yeah.
I've done a lot of traditional counseling and stuff. I mean, I have amazing friends, amazing husband, amazing where I feel like I'm very expressive. I've told my story to a lot of other people. I don't feel like communication is a problem, and I still feel like I have a lot of the same reactions, the same walls, the same, and I can even point them out to you and be like, oh, I think that's because of that, but I'm not getting past it. And, like those things are just, I mean, now they're detrimental to my well being, to my relationships with other people, because they're just not necessary.
Okay. Okay, so if we look at trapped emotions. I'm going to go back to the question so we can just put these in. Okay. Does she have a trapped emotion of rejection, right?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
rejection. And if yes, where is it being stored in her body? What color is it? Are you able to remove it now? Send it to creator's light, and then replace it with unconditional love, light, and acceptance. And tell us what that looks like as you do it. And then I'm just going to copy and paste that and we'll change it from rejection to something else. Abandonment.
Yeah.
Are we going with abandonment next?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about what other emotions do you think? I'm thinking of lack of support.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Being unsupported.
yes.
Okay. Do you have any anger?
I'm sure I do.
Resentment?
Yes. Confusion's a big one. A lot of it doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay. Confusion.
When I go back to that time, but I guess if I'm being honest, it's like now that I'm older, I think my mom has suffered from mental illness. So then that answers a lot of questions, right? Because then you're like, well, then there is no confusion because she just didn't know what she was doing.
Right. And a
She was
lot of
just doing
times,
the best she could.
yeah. Yeah. Confusion. What other trapped emotions do you think you might have?
So I think fear is like the biggest one. I think I'm a lot of times in a constant flight or fight.
Okay. Constant fight or flight. Let's
Does that make
address that.
sense?
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit different question. So let me word that a little bit differently. Still now you feel like you're in constant fight or flight?
Yeah.
Okay. So she feels like she is in constant fight or flight. What does she need to do to not live in that stressful state? But then we're going to go, oh, you disappeared. Oh, there you are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, really well now. I don't know what I just hit. Okay, we're
You
good.
just keep randomly hitting buttons and it works for you.
It's getting better. It's getting better.
That's funny. Just hit a bunch of random buttons, but don't do it anymore because now we're good.
Now we're good. It's perfect.
Okay. I'm going to actually search the list of questions that I sent you, and I'm going to search for the word vagus nerve.
Yes, I did see that one.
Yeah, we're going to do that because that's about fight or flight. So let me copy that and then I'll read it.
Yeah, I actually feel like that thing that gets worse as I get older, which makes no sense because life is just getting better and I'm figuring it out more, I feel like. But
Yeah, it really shouldn't, right?
and it
So,
really is more
holy
heightened now than it's ever been.
okay. Is this just okay? To her, it doesn't make sense that she is always in that state because her life keeps getting better and better. Is it because it is um, a trained response in her body, or why is it still happening? And are you able to? So What is it that releases cortisol into our body? Let's get a biology lesson here. Okay, so if you don't know, I'm going to Google it.
I
What
don't.
what gland releases cortisol? Is it the vagus nerve into our body? I'm going to look. Um, adrenal glands.
Adrenal glands.
Okay, so because I'm going here with a question. So, um, and are you able to put a regulator on her adrenal glands that can regulate the secretion of cortisol in her body so that it does not flood her body with cortisol, unless it is a true life-threatening situation that requires her to be in a fight or flight mode for her own safety. And tell us what that looks like as you do it. I've never asked for that before, so let's just see.
Okay. Okay.
um, I will tell you something. This is just a fun little thing I will share with you from yesterday, a session I had. I told her I've never asked for this before, but let's ask for it and see what happens. And I will tell you what her higher self said. Let me find it. It's with her health stuff. Let me look. And hers is going on social media as is, so
Okay.
not a problem sharing this. I just haven't edited yet, or got it up there yet. Where is that one? Let me see. Okay, so she got cancer. She got cervical cancer,
Hmm.
and so she had to have a total hysterectomy, and they removed her lymph nodes.
Um,
So the question was, in that surgery, she also had her lymph nodes removed. Are you able to give her an energetic implant to replace the physical lymph nodes that were removed so that that implant or energetic slash perfect spiritual body lymph node replicas are overlain on top of her physical body so the body can once again have glands that do the same work that the removed ones used to do? And tell us what you will do and what that looks like as you do it. Yes. And then there was a long pause. And then her higher self said, we are installing little balls of light, some in clusters and some are bigger. Pause. Okay, that was one. I said, was that a tall order to ask for implants of things that have been removed in the physical realm, or is that no harder than anything else we've asked for at this point today? This one felt very easy to accomplish, her higher self said.
huh.
I said, any idea why? It's a simple function of the body. Is there anything else she needs to do? She needs to drink more water and not eat foods with toxins. I said, when you say toxins, what do you mean? Foods that are sprayed with toxins. So try to eat organic? Yes. Who helped with that implant? Raphael and part of his team, Archangel Raphael.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And she saw all this. Like she told me afterwards. Like if you subscribe to my channel, like this one's going on my channel. Like she had a really good session.
That's awesome.
Did a really good session. And before that, when they did the surgery for her hysterectomy, they cut some nerves for her bladder so she can't express her bladder all the
Ah.
way. She's the second person in a week that that's happened to. Oh, sorry. I thought I had this. I thought I had my volume off. Sorry. She's the second person, and I'd never had anyone before that with bladder
Oh
stuff
my
as a result of a
gosh.
hysterectomy. And I was like, oh. But anyway, so we were asking for lots of bladder repair. And so she saw all of it. And then she said she was so distracted by, she could see everything that they were doing and what they were working on her, but she was so distracted because she heard and saw three men dressed in like Arab guard speaking a language that sounded like Arabic, like over here. So in the spirit, she turned her head and looked and saw these three like Arabic looking guys. And they were over there talking, 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 talking. And she couldn't understand them. And she was
Right.
like,
Of
what's
course.
going on? I'm trying to focus on watching them, do this healing of my bladder. And they were just over here. And she said, so it got really quiet with her for a while. She said there were these three people speaking and it almost sounded Arabic. So I sat and listened and waited for them to be finished. I asked her higher self, were they doctors? I feel like they were even dressed like they were Arabic. So they were not dressed in doctor clothes, but maybe some type of healers. And then maybe it was a prayer said over my bladder.
Oh, that's really cool.
Right?
That's really cool.
Right?
That's
I'm like,
amazing.
I'm like, you can't make this up because
No,
if you're gonna make stuff up, like you wouldn't make that up.
that
Like
up.
three
Right.
Arabic guys,
Like
and then she was
random.
like, yeah, random. Like now I'm all confused. Like what are these three Arabic guys doing over there?
That's so cool.
You'd be like, no, it looks like this, and then there's pink sparkles, and like you'd
Right,
say all that, right? Like you
exactly.
would talk
Right.
about three Arabic
Fairy
guys,
wings. Yeah,
right?
right.
And you know what? Maybe that's one of the reasons it is. It's like, yeah, because if you're gonna make something up, it's definitely not gonna be
Right.
that.
Right.
Okay, so I thought that might be a fun little diversion.
Yeah. Yeah, I love
asking
it.
asking for like implants and things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so
because really it does feel physical. So it feels like I'm having this physical response, this physical anxiety response that is so out of my control, and it's tipped off like this. And it's really just been really bad in the last year. But I also got sober. And so I also feel like there are all kinds of changes happening to me spiritually, and I'm just more present in feeling all of my emotions. I mean, I wasn't, well, I mean, the word alcoholic has all kinds of meaning, but I mean, it was just a personal decision, just because I felt like it would be better for me and my family. It was like a little 60-day challenge that I did, and I've just been going with it. And all kinds of great things are happening, so I'm just going with it. But this specific fight or flight is like debilitating.
right. I'm just reading a little bit
Sure,
more about cortisol. So just give me a second. I want to make sure if
sure.
there's any other body parts we should address. So just give me 1 second. Cortisol is a glucocorticoid hormone that your adrenal glands produce and release. Uh, the signals tell your body what to do and when to do it. Hormones are chemicals that, okay. These specific ones are a type of steroid hormone. They suppress inflammation in all of your bodily tissues and control metabolism in your muscles, fat, liver, and bones. These glucocorticoid, whatever, also affect sleep-wake cycles. Your adrenal glands, also known as suprarenal glands, are small triangle-shaped glands that are located on the top of each of your two kidneys. They're a part of your endocrine system. Okay, remember endocrine system. It's an essential hormone that affects almost every organ. Oh, and tissue in your body. So cortisol affects almost every organ and tissue in your body. Okay, so we're going to ask for just overall healing in the body from anything that's been affected by such a flood of cortisol. How about we do that too?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. Are you able to also bring healing and balance to every organ in her body that has been affected by so much cortisol in her body, cortisol being released in her body over the years, and clean that all up and tell us what that looks like. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pause it real quick.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, we're back from a little break. Okay.
Hold on 1 second. I can't hear you again.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep. So what I
Okay.
have to do, just so you know, if anybody else ever has this problem, is like
Okay.
I just have to disconnect and reconnect the audio.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Otherwise, if I don't, you're like whispering.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but it's all good. We're good.
Okay, that's good to know. All right. Your volume went down, but that's okay. I can turn it up on my end.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you. Okay. Yeah, I thought I had it paused, but apparently we were still on through all of that. Okay. Um, okay. So we asked that, and then I asked about your vagus nerve
Hmm.
for fight or flight. Okay. Let me go back to the notes part here. All right. So you moved in with him, and you guys did get married, you and Mike?
So we had so we moved into this house. His dad bought us this house. We renovated it because that's the trade that they were in. They were in the construction business.
Okay.
So we renovated this house. So, like me, as a person, I'm just feeling like, oh my God, I went from having the most dysfunctional situation my entire life to I am in Beaver Cleaver world, right?
Okay.
Like my boyfriend's father fixes everything. My home is beautiful. Um, my his mother is like my mom. Like she buys me little things when she's out. She brings me my favorite snacks. You know what I mean? Like she's just so amazing. But we are young, and like he's a partier. Right, I met him through this girl who I lived with, who we were like on LSD all the time, and like smoking weed and drinking. Right,
Right.
so he's a partier. So we decided together that we want to go ahead with the plan that we had, and so we're gonna get pregnant on purpose and have a baby. So now I'm
Okay.
eight. So now I'm 18. I'm 18. We're living in this house. Um, I don't do any drugs at all at this point, like because that was kind of I did that situational to make that girl happy that I lived with. Really wasn't what I wanted, so I didn't have any issues with that or have to get clean or anything like that. Um, I drank very, very, very little. I really just didn't enjoy being out of my mind. Um, so I'm like I'm ready to domesticate, and so we get pregnant. We have Dominic, um, and that pregnancy was pretty tumultuous for me because he was a partier. He just wanted to be with his friends all the time, and I thought we had a plan. I thought we both wanted the same thing, and that we were gonna, be domesticated together, and that was not the case. So it was a lot of fighting, a lot of crying, a lot of, whatever. So we have Dominic. We kind of continue on that course for 2 years. We get married when Dominic is 2.
Okay.
We have like this. So everything is like perfect to me except for the person I'm with. So we have
Ah,
this huge wedding. It's Italian. There's 350 people there. I have the bridal shower. I have the baby shower, before I had Dominic. So it all is feeling perfect to me except for this person that I'm with.
okay.
So we get married. Um, I decide in my mind that I want to have 2 kids. I want Dominic to have a sibling. And I do not want to be like my mother. So I do not want to have kids with all these different dads.
Right.
So in the situation that I'm in, knowing that this is not good, it's probably not going to last, I decided to get pregnant with my daughter on purpose. And to him, he's just living his best life. He's got this great wife, he's got the kids, but he can do whatever he wants, you know? So, of course, he goes along with it. He doesn't question, you know, like having a second child. So we have Olivia, and it was like 2 months shy of her first birthday. I was like, I have to get out of this situation because I'm now in an abusive relationship. So it wasn't physically abusive, but it was definitely emotional. You know, it was a disaster. So, so we celebrate her first birthday in October. In September. And then we did not share the holidays together. So now I've given up this family and I've totally isolated myself. And
Did you move out or did he move out?
right after the new year, I moved out.
Okay.
So I go and get this brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment that no one had ever lived in.
Okay.
And I was probably there about 2 months until I realized, like, oh, I don't have any money. I just left the money. Right? Because, you know, I'm like 22. And so it was a struggle for me and the kids for like 10 years. You know, we bounced around from house to house. I would get evicted. I had a car repossessed, you know, but I was just determined to figure it out. And my ex-in-laws, you know, they're Italian, so they were loyal to their son. And I think that they just thought if it got really bad for me, I would just come back. So there really wasn't a whole lot of support or help. It was like, you know, if I got my lights shut off, they would pay the bill to get them turned back on, but I had to get the lights shut off. So there was never any child support or anything like that. So it was really, really tough.
And you didn't know to go get any, right?
Right. Right. Well, in Michigan, the way it was is it was ordered, but he just never paid it. And I would have had to sue him, and I couldn't afford to pursue it. So I was kind of just always and I didn't really want to, you know, they did pay the bills once in a while, like if the lights were turned off, and if I really ticked him off, then they wouldn't. So I just felt very vulnerable. And, you know, like in a really, just in a no-win situation. So in that, in those probably, you know, like 13 years that we were married and then that I was divorced, my mom and I had a very tumultuous relationship. So we would have a conversation or something would happen and we would get back together, and it would always be really on her terms. And then it would be like maybe a year or 2 would go by, and then it would be another couple of years until we talked again. She was always really jealous of my in-laws. She was always really jealous that I didn't have it as bad as her, even as a single mom. And I would just constantly just keep trying it a different way. So I'd be subservient or submissive. You know what I mean? Just be real quiet just so that I could have her around. And then eventually it just got to the point where it was hurting my feelings less to just not have her around than what it was to have her around.
Yep.
So she's kind of like this. Here's a great example. When I had my 3rd child, I was going to go get this thing done on my face because I had melasma from the pregnancy. And so it was an hour appointment and it was a half hour away. So I was going to be gone for 2 hours. So it was a very scheduled thing. And, you know, she was like, oh, I'll watch Evelyn. It'll be great. And 20 minutes into me leaving, she's texting me going, how much longer? How much longer? And on Facebook, she's putting like all these pictures, like just celebrating the day with my granddaughter, blah, blah, blah. So, um, just kind of does everything for show, and that was just real confusing for me and real hurtful.
And Evelyn is your third?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, and is Evelyn with the same dad or someone else?
So, Michael and I got divorced.
Okay.
Um, and I was single for, about 7 years,
Right.
7 or 8 years. Um, and I met Victor shortly after I got divorced. And we were kind of friends. Not really. He was pursuing me, but I was not in a position to want to be in any kind of relationship whatsoever. So I was single, lived by myself for 7 years. And then we decided to try to have a relationship. So we like actually had that conversation, got together. Um, we got pregnant with Evelyn. We got married, and we've been together for 14 years. And I am like best friends with my ex-husband after all that and love his family. Like he's just family.
Well, that's good for the kids.
It's great for the kids. Yeah.
Did he get out of drugs and shape up or?
Yeah, I mean it took him a long time. He was never a druggie at all. It was always
Oh, okay.
drinking.
Okay.
And he was never like an everyday drinker, just a binge. He's a partier and he always will be.
Okay.
So he's a rallier. So if it's Saturday and there's a game or something, like, you know, he's going to tie it on. And, you know, I think that like when I look back, like just because of my trauma when I was a kid, I just couldn't deal with that. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong or whatever,
Right.
but I mean, it's like, he has a job, he's successful, he does he takes care of his kids, he has great relationships. But for me, that just was, it just put me in a very vulnerable situation where I couldn't function.
Right. So, does he see the kids a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Does he pay child support finally or no?
Yeah. Yeah. We can finally got all that straightened out. And
Okay. And how old are the kids now?
so Dominic is 25 and Olivia is 22.
Oh, so there's no more child support for them because they're over
No,
18.
no, but I mean, he did
Oh,
eventually have to pay me all that back child support.
oh, wow.
Yeah, like
Oh, yeah,
after I,
because he had been ordered, but then he wasn't paying it. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Right. Good thing you had that order.
yeah. So I mean, it really did come full circle, and during that time, we did not get along at all. But once, I was like, hey, it is what it is. I mean, and that now that that's all over, and we laugh about it now.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And so
it's
you
fun.
got the family you wanted.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay. And things are great with your current husband. And how old is
So
Evelyn?
Evelyn is 13. Um, I I wouldn't say things are great. Like we went through a really rough 4 years. Um, Same kind of thing. Like my husband he's not a partier or wasn't a partier. He was just like he's always having a good time. He's always on. People love to be around him. He's real infectious. He's really funny. And so that was probably the case for, like about 9 years. And then things started to change. Like these habits became bad. The drinking became really heavy. Where he always had, like in a sea of idiots, he was never an idiot. That's what I used to say to him. And, these habits became bad. So we're from two opposite sides of the track, right? Like I come from where I just explained to you. His dad was a doctor. His
Oh,
family traveled the world. He spent, a summer in Brazil, when he was, just for funsies in college, like,
yeah.
um, And so it was really weird, to me that he would want to be with somebody like me, but he was just always all accepting, like loved me, loved my guts out, adored me no matter what. There was anything I could tell him to scare him away. And then when so we're married, everything's great, whatever. His dad, who is like 86, is working for this practice that gets indicted for opiates. So I was like, kind of had some experience with, like, nope, my brother has been in the system, so like I kind of know this is bad. Like he's implicated. Like this cannot be good. And so his dad went through a trial. He was convicted.
Uh,
So at 86 years old, he went to prison.
oh.
So
What were they doing? Just illegally giving opiates to patients or what?
So what they were doing was they actually used him as a pawn. He was working for a practice with these three Pakistani men that were doctors that owned the practice. He was retired and wanted to go back to work. So he went to work for them. They were a home health care agency. And at the same time he went to work for them, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So he was working 20 hours a week, and if he worked those 20 hours a week, that would be amazing, because the radiation was cumulative, right? And he would get tired and stuff. And so I remember asking my husband, like, why are they employing your dad? It just doesn't make any sense. Why would they keep him around? And he's like, well, he looks at charts, blah 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 blah. They're paying him $1,000 a week. So essentially, what they were doing was he so he was probably actually working 7 hours a week, and he was the highest prescribing physician in the state of Michigan of opiates. So
Because they were doing everything under his name?
Yeah, they were just putting everything under his NPI number. And at the end of the day, when it came down to the case in court, ignorance was not a defense. And he was the only licensed doctor, and somebody was going down for it. So it was him.
Oh
So
my
all
God.
of those people got jail time, but he was the only doctor. He thought they were all doctors, but they weren't. They just took advantage of him.
Oh my gosh. Was it the three Arabics in that? No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe it was. It sounds like it. Sounds like
That's
it.
crazy.
Yeah. So,
There was some karma stuff going on there.
yeah. So immediately, like, because I know how to handle these kind of situations, and these people have no clue, right? They have no clue. Like my mother-in-law's got like 4 20 carat, whatever. Like she has no idea. She's never paid a bill. She's never done anything. So I immediately swoop in. I'm like, you're selling your house. You're moving in with us. We're going to give you a minute to get it together. And it was just like, I think everything in my husband's life kind of fell apart. He found out his dad was a cheater when he cleaned out the house.
Okay.
So all those years, that his dad adored his mom, which I do think he did, and I think that was real. It just kind of, his house of cards came crumbling down. We joke, like, who would have ever thought our dads would be in prison and we would have that in common? Just a lot of stuff.
Coming from different sides of the track, and both your dads are in prison.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I always tell him, I'm like, it's almost like I was here to help you through that. Because you can go through an identity crisis, and all those kinds of things. I mean, they belonged to a country club for 40 years, and now his dad's in prison.
Wow. So
Just
how many
crazy.
years ago did that happen?
So, that was about 6 years ago.
Is he still in prison?
No, so he got really sick in prison, and they let him come home to pass away. And he passed away right before COVID. So the drinking kicked up. His mom lived with us. That was miserable. Our relationship.
So that's where things got rocky and
Yeah,
tumultuous.
yeah, they just really deteriorated.
Okay.
And so now we're kind of at a point where we're trying to rebuild that. There's been a lot of damage that has done. Fortunately, like there's been no cheating or anything like that, but um the drinking really became very elevated for me, like in a situation I couldn't live in. And so at times I joined in that, like because it was easier for me to deal with it, at least if I was a part of it, than if I was like detached from it in my own house. Some of it I enjoyed, some of it was just fun, and then it just turned not fun. And so, like a year ago, I found that it was getting really bad with him, and I just decided to quit drinking completely. And so now um, we're trying to figure out how that works.
What do you mean?
Like he has no desire to live a sober life, yet he
Uh,
he understands that it's been taken too far. So he's trying to figure out some normalcy in his life, and I'm living on eggshells
what do you mean living on eggshells?
because I have this fight or flight whenever alcohol or drugs are involved. It's just like it is my trigger of the sky is falling.
Okay, so triggers are always an opportunity for us to see what needs to be healed in us,
Yeah.
right? So it doesn't have to trigger you,
Right. I don't want it to. It doesn't do any
right?
good.
Right? I mean, it's literally no different than like if you take any situation, some people can be triggered by it, and some people it just won't even phase them.
Right.
Like some people are like super, not to say that you are
Yeah.
or aren't, but some people are super triggered if someone is late. 1 minute late, five
Yeah.
minutes late. Like they're super triggered. Like it angers them to no end.
Yeah.
How dare
It's
you
like
disrespect for
disrespectful.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Get over yourself. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, they think it's super disrespectful. And other people, like me, I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like she's not
Yeah.
here yet. Let me pick up my book and I'm gonna just like read a few pages in
Yeah.
my book while I wait. And I actually get excited because it's unexpected time. It's time I didn't expect to have for me in my day. Even if it's
Right.
closing my eyes for 5 or 10 minutes to
Right.
meditate or pick up a book or scroll through TikTok or whatever, like it
Yeah.
does not bother me, like at
Yeah.
all. Right.
Yeah.
But other people, it just will anger them so bad. So it's like anything. So this is triggering you, but other people, it wouldn't trigger them. So it's like, what
Yeah.
is it in you?
Like I see like somebody being buzzed, it just really triggers something really bad in me. And I just really wish it didn't because it's not always a bad thing. Like they're just enjoying themselves, they're having a couple of cocktails or whatever. And to me, it's just like the world's gonna end. Like
Yeah.
I just get super. It's like living in fear, and it's just not necessary.
Well, okay, so here, how about if we look at it from the perspective of you always have choice?
Yeah.
Because that's all life is.
Hmm.
Life is literally just all about choice. And
Hmm.
it's about us realizing that we have the choice in every single situation. So if you see somebody who's buzzed, you have infinite choices. You
Hmm.
can choose to stay around them. You can choose to walk away and not be around them. You can choose, I mean, you could do lots of things. You could choose to tell them off. You could choose
Right.
to just
Right.
swallow your words. You could, whatever, right? I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, to me, in my opinion, the highest level thing you can do is just be like, yeah, I choose not to be around that. So I'm just going to leave this situation. And you just
Right.
leave the situation
Right.
and be like, that's their journey, that's their life for whatever reason. They're dealing with, drinking alcohol right now, but I choose not to be around it. And that's being
Right.
in your power and
Yeah.
not it because it's really a neutral situation. It only has the emotion that you give it.
Right.
So if you want to give that situation anger, you can give it anger. If you want to give it the feeling of betrayal, you can give it a feeling of betrayal. You
Hmm.
can give it like, oh wow, yeah, you're having fun. Cool. You can give it joy.
Yeah.
Like you can give that situation anything you want, but it's your choice.
Yeah. And I just feel like I'm giving it. There's just so much negativity surrounded with it, but it's not how I truly feel. It's like it's this. innate in this crazy emotion that comes out of me that I really don't want to feel. I really don't want to have it. I want to be at peace with it, because it's a lot different than like, um, if somebody is having a couple cocktails because they're grilling or whatever is completely different than like if you're 7 and your mom's going to get her ass kicked because your dad's drunk out of his mind. You know what I mean? And it's still the same reaction for me.
So, and so what's the reaction that you get? You just get, do you get angry?
I
Do you
think I
get,
get scared.
you get scared? So it's that, okay, so when is the first time that you remember in your life being scared involving drugs or alcohol?
I think I was probably like around 5 or 6, and my mom had called the cops um, on my dad because he was doing whatever. I don't remember. And I just remember him like being, like looking at him and him not being in there and just being completely, acting differently, his mannerisms being differently, and then them fighting. And then it just was always like that every single time
Mm.
that my
But that's
parents.
the first memory you have.
Yeah, that's the first one.
So we're going to heal that memory. How
Okay.
about we do that? Let's do that. Let's get that memory healed. And you were like 5 or 6, did you say?
Hmm.
Okay. So hold on. Okay, I'm going to put it up here. She was around 5 or 6 years old. She has a memory of your mom was doing what? I'm sorry. She was
My mom just called they were fighting, and my mom called the police.
her mom calling the police when her mom and her stepdad were fighting. Um, and then she looked at her drunk stepfather,
Hmm.
and he was quote unquote not there to her. And then after that, she would see him in that see him like that many times, right?
Yeah, so it's attached to that.
Right. And that caused fear in you, right? And that caused fear in her to the point where now, when someone is around her and drinking, it incites that same kind of fear in her again, right?
Yeah, that same feeling. Yeah, it's fear, and then it's that I'm sad because right, I'm putting an emotion with it, and I'm assuming that that person knows how it makes me feel.
Okay. 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 Are you able to quote unquote go back in time and we have your higher self do let's say and surround that younger her in a bubble of protective white and pink light, um, to shield her from that event and the emotions surrounding that event, and then keep that bubble around her to protect, to shield her from similar situations all the way until today.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Tell us.
I'm constantly looking for an outside situation, an actual situation, to make me feel stable. So that I'm constantly setting myself. That's You're going to fail every time. right?
Right. Because you're looking for something outside of you to bring stability and safety.
Constantly, because it's like here I am, 44, walking around like a kid, blowing in the breeze, still going, okay,
Mhm.
I need my husband to make me feel this way. I need my kids to make me feel this way. You know what I mean? Like I need everybody to do what they're supposed to be doing, or else I'm gonna feel vulnerable. That sucks.
Yeah. And that's
That
being a
sucks
control
for
freak, right?
everybody.
Yeah, it sucks for
Yeah.
everyone and it's trying to control your emotions through external
Yes.
stimuli, which is
Yeah, and
impossible.
right. And it's like if you're okay with that and you can just go with that, like a lot of people just accept that. But to me it actually I'm so go with the flow. I want everybody to feel how they want to feel. And so to constantly have this emotion that keeps coming up is just like paralyzing because I know how unfair it is. I actually was having a conversation with my husband, a really nice conversation. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry I've been making you feel terrible. With my actions, I'm really going to work on it. I learned a long time ago how to be around you. And I thought, oh, no one should ever have to learn how to be around you.
Right? Should be able to just be yourself, right?
Yeah, that sucks.
Because then they're walking on eggshells.
Right. Right. And you're a dick and you didn't even know it.
I like it that you can laugh at yourself and that you see these things and you're like, I see them. How do I change them? Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's the question that I wrote. She acknowledges that she tries to control her emotions through her external environment and knows that is not possible to do and knows that it's unfair to others, but doesn't know how to control that.
Yeah.
What can you tell her about this? How can she heal this?
Yeah.
How what does she need to learn or do or know in order to find peace inside of her? Oh, and here's one. Let's do this. Would it would it benefit her to have you download creator's definition of peace into her and tell us what that looks like as you do it? And then would it also benefit her to have you download the program into her of, I know what it feels like to, I know what it feels like to experience peace from a wellspring within me. How about that?
Yeah.
And tell us what that looks like. Okay. And then what does she need to do? What does she need to do in her daily life to experience and increase her inner peace? How about that? That's your homework. That's
Yeah.
your homework,
Yeah.
right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I know it, I can see it, but I don't know what to do about it.
Right.
I don't know how to change it.
And what about, and then we've got all these other like trapped emotions and stuff. What
Hmm.
about self love? Do you feel like you totally love yourself or no?
No, probably not.
Okay. So then let's ask for creator's definition of self love to be downloaded into
Yeah.
you. And what can you do to increase your self love? So I'm going to put that up here. Give me one sec. Right under the peace stuff. Keep those together. Vagus nerve. And what about worthiness? Same thing. Do you feel like you're worthy?
Yeah, so that probably falls right under that category, is like, um, all of that, like the fear and then like the hurt, I feel like I associate that all together, like that maybe I'm just not worthy of not feeling that way because it continuously pops up in my life.
Okay, well, we'll do the same thing for worthiness then too. How
Okay.
about?
Yeah.
Okay, I know how to live my life knowing to my core that I am worthy. How about that?
Yeah. That's great.
Like that one. Okay, we've already got a ton of questions here.
Oh, good. Good.
Okay. All right. So your husband now, we talked about, I think we kind of skipped a little bit. So the only really rocky part was you said went through a 4-year period and you're just kind of at the end of that where he's deciding I don't want to stop drinking and you're like, how do I deal with this? Is that where you guys are
Yeah.
at now?
Yeah, because I feel like I feel like I'm at an unhealthy place, right? I'm going to extremes. And I'm saying um like I'm trying to take the extreme control, right? To feel safe, to not feel hurt. I mean, that is not realistic. So it's like I'm going, okay, I love you. You're the person I want to be with. You make me laugh, blah, blah, blah. But I hate it when you drink. And if you just didn't drink at all, no matter how much it is, then everything would be great.
Mhm.
Now, could there be an alcohol problem there? Yes. But to me, it doesn't matter if there is or not. Like that's his deal. But
Mhm.
me feeling so, like that's just not, it's coming to a head.
Right. Okay. So we need to get creator's definition of safety downloaded into you too.
Yeah. We need a lot. Need the
Well,
overhaul.
because you didn't experience it growing up, right? So would it benefit her to have you? Well, I'm gonna copy and paste the worthiness one
Yeah.
and make that the same and just change it to safety. Um, Safety into her. Okay. And how is he with Evelyn? Is he a good dad?
Oh, he's a great dad.
Okay.
He's a great guy.
Okay. And he's able to function and everything with his drinking. He's like,
Yeah, yeah. He just has taken it a little overboard. You know what I mean? Like where we kind of always drank every day. That's been our thing. But it was like, we'd have a martini and then that was it. And then it just got to be like, well, you know what? Who wants to do laundry? Or who wants to, talk about grandma in the basement? So let's just have 3 martinis because that's way funner than 1 martini. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
and so is he kind of like checked out at things around the house and with the family because he'd
Yeah.
rather just
Yeah, but I mean, he's doing much better. I mean, like he's reeled it in, and I think because I'm at this point, um, even a little bit scares me.
right. So we got to go back. It goes loops back to that fear again. So we're going to ask
Yeah,
for that healing for that
yeah,
little girl. So
yeah.
to pull that. Oh, we want to pull and heal that fear and then put a bubble of light around her. So let me go back to that.
Okay,
Um, Go back in time and pull the shock, trauma, and fear around that event and then surround the younger her. Okay. Yeah, that feels better. That feels more complete. Okay. Okay. And then what about um, you? You said you have a business now. What do you do now?
So I own a salon. Well, I actually own, it's a wellness center.
Okay.
So
Yeah, tell
started.
me about your spiritual journey, because if it's a wellness center, I'm assuming it's, well, tell me all about how you got
Yeah.
into all that.
Okay. So I did. My mom was a manicurist, so I've been playing with nails since I was 12 years old. Literally,
Okay.
she did nails out of our house. So then, when I didn't graduate high school, I went and went to school for nails, got my license, um, and I did that the whole time I was a single mom because it was great. I had a flexible schedule. If I didn't have any money, I made cash tips that day. Like it was just a great thing to get me through. So then I get married. I have Evelyn. Evelyn is 7 at the time, and I am so bored. I feel so unproductive, and I just feel like, I didn't have any. I have been in survival mode my entire life. So I don't have hobbies like my husband. My husband's like, I play golf. I'm like, I don't have time for hobbies. I've raised kids and struggled and survived. So I was like, I really want to open up my own business. So I had this idea because I had been a client now for 7 years at really nice places, really crappy places, when we travel, all kinds of stuff. And I was like, in the beauty business, my my particular department, if you will, is the most unrelaxing, unbeknownst to me. I
What do you
mean,
mean?
like, you know, if you're in like the factory type salon, like the Asian salon, sometimes the water's hot, sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's 50 minutes. Um, you just want to get in and out. So I had this whole idea to totally change it. So to educate people about what they're paying for, right? Like if you're paying $35 for a mani pedi, what are you really, what in the big picture, what are you subscribing to? Like modern day slavery, because she can't even pay a cell phone bill. Number two, to bring back a professionalism to my profession that was so good to me my whole entire life, basically. To like mentor women that can't afford to go to college or didn't have the opportunity, that you can make really good money. So that's kind of what the whole plan was. So it was just waterless mani pedis, so that it was hygienic and no waterborne bacteria, all this stuff. That's where it started. And then, like, I became a part of these networking groups where women would come in and they would lay down to get a pedicure and they would literally start crying. And I was like, wow, there's something happening here. This
And
is
so
crazy.
hold on. So you did start the business, the
I did
waterless
start the
mani
business.
pedi? Okay.
Yep. I opened the business in 2017. I was the only person that worked there. And I just told my husband, like, I can't be the only person that thinks this way. So I'm just going to find my tribe, right? I don't have to do everyone's nails. I just have to do everyone's nails who's looking for somebody like me. And so that was crazy because we put about $200,000 into that idea.
Okay.
I opened up, so I started networking. Because it was a new concept, and when you would say waterless pedicure, people would go, "Oh, that sounds terrible."
So, yeah, out of curiosity, like, what do
Yeah.
you do?
So what I do is, if you come into Colorbox, you lay in this lounger, and I put a neck wrap on you and an eye pillow, and then your pedicure is done with steam towels and heating pads. So you are just you have a nice blanket on you. The bed is heated, so you're just cocooned, and you cannot help but like go into a meditative state. I mean, there's no way around it. I get people that come in that are like, I absolutely can't relax, and every single time.
Nice.
So you get these new moms in, or somebody who just lost their mom or dad, and they'd have this eye pillow on, and every time you could just see the tears, almost like at the end of a yoga class. When you would have a release, like you were just doing something for yourself, or just like in a great state. And so I'm not even in this realm at all. I'm not even thinking this. This isn't why I did this. And all these people just start coming to me. all these influential people just start coming. And basically, I just started delivering what everyone wanted. It
Mm.
wasn't the intention. And so the business just grew and grew and grew. And so about a year ago, I met this lady named Sarah Harper. I had taken over an extension of the building, and she just said, I'm in a really weird place in my life, and I want to work, but I don't necessarily have to work for money. But I want to work here. And I mean, if there's like a level of people, she's like up here. Do you know what I mean by that? And
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
looking at her going, you want to work in my nail shop? Like, like you're really bored. You know what I mean?
So
Like,
was it just you at this time, or did you have anyone? I mean, did you
uh,
before her? Did you have anyone else working
yeah,
with
I
you?
probably had about 5 girls by this
Okay.
time. By this
Oh, so
time.
as your business grew, you had about 5 girls, and they're
Yeah,
all doing the same thing.
we're just all doing the same thing. I have developed this protocol. You know what I mean? Like we're just all doing the same. We're all doing the same thing. And
Okay.
I mean, it's just growing and growing and growing. And so I said, well, I just rented this space next to me just because the clients want to be here. So I have no desire to offer more services, but they trust me. So, they're like, can we have massage here? Can't you get a facialist? Can't you get this? And I'm like, oh, I'm just not really, I don't know anything about that business. And so Sarah said, well, I'd love to give you some ideas. So come to find out, she's opened spas all over the world.
Okay.
She's from London. She is, we work so well together. She's like a clone of me. Literally, like we will buy the same pair of shoes on the same day. It is so crazy. So, we're building this wellness center together. So it's all about, anxiety and stress, decompression, vitamin restoration, and people just come in droves. I just had this lady that came in the other day that said, I've really been wanting to meet you. I do. She does interventions all across the United States. I can't even imagine what she charges. So she will come to your house. Your family hires her, and she'll say, "Okay, Tracy, you got to come with me." And she brings them back to Michigan. She puts them in an Airbnb. They have to go to her trainer, her spa, her this, her that, and she sets them like up on this track. That's like totally different from AA or whatever. She's like, whatever you're doing here, this is where I want my people to come. Like it's right now we don't even have walls, and I already have people that are like, I want to make an appointment. I'm like, I don't even know what we have yet, and they're like, we don't care.
So you're gonna do things like offer massage and things like that,
Yeah,
or
yes, but it's like everything has a different twist. So what I was waiting for from Germany were these they're called dry floats. And
okay,
so it's a like you would have your service done, your massage or facial done on this dry float bed that has like this little thin membrane. So when you're having your service, you feel like you're suspended in water. And then at the end of your service, you do like a 20-minute, an 8 to 20 minute immersion where you literally feel like they say it's like equivalent to like being in the womb, where you're like literally floating in water, but you're dry. Now, I literally just go for it because they don't even have them in the United States. So I've never even done it. I just have my whole life, my whole financial life writing on it.
and you're hoping it's good, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's great.
Oh my god!
I'm hoping it's great. Yeah. So,
Wow.
so can you see like for me how I'm struggling with I'm so go with the flow. Yes, I'm feeling it. Like I trust the people that come into my circle that want to work with me and stuff. And then to be so compartmentalized and want to control this one area
Right.
is like it's like torture for me.
Yeah, because of the trauma, and that's all it is. It's just
Yeah.
because of the trauma, right?
Yeah, it's so stupid.
So, hold on. I'm gonna pause it and tell you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm super excited
Okay,
about
so
it.
back on the recording, I was just sharing about a another possible bed type that I had heard of. But anyway, so you're adding all these cool services. You're not quite sure what it is yet, but you're just trusting and being in the flow, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I did. Like I would make a horrible business plan, right? Or a business partner because, I'd be like, oh, I feel it, and they'd be like, well, the bank would be like, excuse me.
Right, right.
But I mean, yes, I believe in it. And I'm really excited about it. I think, but I could have never done this on my own. I mean, I don't have the wherewithal to do it. I don't have, I mean, so it's just amazing the people that have showed up for me. Um, and then and the people that show up to continuously reinforce that, right? Like I'm saying, I just got a text message yesterday with this girl going, I want to book a spa party for October. And I'm like, I'm not even open. But yes, you can have one.
Right. We'll put the
And
walls up
thank you.
before then. Right. Wow, that's so cool. Oh, wow. So it's like it's wonderful to know when you're following your purpose and your path, right? So I'm
Yeah,
guessing you don't have any questions like, what is my path and what is my purpose, right? Because you seem to
right.
be completely flowing in it,
Yeah,
which most people who come to me struggle with that. So
yeah.
congrats on that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say um, if there's any question outside of what we've already discussed that might be along the lines of this is like just being secure in my decisions that I'm making right now and not caring what other people think. I
So
do
following
make,
your intuition.
yeah, following my intuition and no, and not second guessing what other people think. I do it eventually, but sometimes it takes me so long to get there.
So do you find when you do that, just so I can figure out how to word my question, would
Mhm.
you find when you do that that you feel something intuitively, but then other people are saying other things, and then you go along with what you originally thought anyway, or do you change it?
Maybe not. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not even a question because really what it is like I'll know what I need to do about something or what decision I need to make on something, but it's like sometimes it'll take me a month because I have to really feel like it. I don't know how to explain it. It's like there's just a moment when I go, "Yep, I know," and then I'll go with it. So I guess it's not really a question. I know. I know
So
what I'm.
it's okay, because so it sounds like you are, and
Yeah.
so a way to if you had time, I know it sounds like you must like have a super crazy busy life right now, but if you had time, and it's funny because last night when I was trying to lay in bed and go to sleep, my team gave me this answer. So I don't know, maybe it was in prep for you to tell people that because a lot of people have if I ask them the question, do you feel like you totally trust yourself?
Hmm.
Most people say no. I don't feel like I totally trust myself. And that has to do with trusting the voice in you, right? Your intuition.
I
And
think I do.
so, okay, because if you didn't, their idea was start writing down when you hear from your intuition about something that you were wondering about, like, what did my intuition tell me in this? Write it down and then see what happens if you go with it or go against it
Okay. Yeah.
and like
Okay.
track it
Yeah.
because that will show you like, oh, see, this is what my intuition said and I didn't do it, and look what
Hmm.
happened.
Yeah.
Or this is what my intuition told me, I did it, and wow, look what happened.
Yeah.
That's a way for people to like, because we're such physical creatures, right, in this planet, that's a way to have it be like confirmation back to you
Hmm.
to help you build that trust
Okay.
if you
Yeah, I
need
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you need it. So with your business decisions, that'd be a little bit easier for you because
Yeah.
it's not just little things like, oh, should I go to the store now or later? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's little things like that. It's like, who has time to write that down? But with your business ones, you can try that
Yep.
and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Um, any other business questions or no?
Um,
Or no?
no, I feel like I'm on the right track.
And is husband involved with the business with you or does he do his own thing?
So he's super supportive, but he's not a part of it at all.
Okay. Okay. And you're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm totally
You want your own thing. Okay.
yeah, I want my own thing. I love it.
Okay. Got
I
it.
love it. It's just enough that he cares and he listens.
Got it.
That's enough for me.
Okay. All right. Um, what else? Any other questions about anything else? Or did you have
Well,
anything?
the one question that was on the list was, like, why did I choose my mom?
Okay. I meant to go to your mom too. Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay.
why did she choose the mom that she did, and what lessons or experiences did she want to have with that? Has she learned all the lessons from that relationship? Because right now, are you guys talking or not talking?
We're not talking, and I am so okay with it.
Right.
Like, I'm not hurting from it. I'm not mad at her. Like, I feel like I totally get it. Like, she just does the best that she can.
Hmm.
And um, we're just not ever going to mesh. And, sometimes I'm like, well, God, am I just cold?
Why would you tell yourself that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So being conscious of your self-talk,
Yeah.
that's a choice. Another
Yeah.
choice, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but it's however you view it.
Yeah.
Like other people, like let's just say I view it, because I do, because I'm in this
Yeah.
same exact situation as you,
Okay.
where I haven't talked to my mom. I didn't talk to her for over 20 years, and now it's been 7, maybe 8. Again, after letting her in for 4 or 5 years, and then she just proved to me she couldn't change, and it involves alcohol again, just like
Okay.
you, right? And just not changing. But
Yeah.
and so it's like, no, I have way more peace and positivity in my life without you in it. And if you weren't my mom, I would not choose you. Like
Ever.
I would never choose to hang out with you or
Yeah.
socialize with you or be around your energy ever. So
Yeah.
why do I need to choose that just because you're my mom?
Right. Yeah.
And you're eternally frozen as a lost 16-year-old who has no desire to change. And that can sound very cold to people,
Right.
right? But I don't care because it's my
Yeah.
life and it's my journey and I get to live it the way I want. And if it brings me way more peace not having her in my life, plus my team told me I'm not allowed to have her in my life. So yeah, because now I feel like I'm in a place where and for a while have felt like I was in a place where I can have her in and like her energy wouldn't affect me. And my team is very clear. Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I want to be in better contact with my team. I mean, I feel like I have a great relationship where, I mean, my husband jokes, but it's like literally I can ask for something and I get it. Like, I can ask for guidance or show me this or do this, and I get it every single time, like clear as day. But I just wish that I wish that I could hear them or see them better.
So how do you get your guidance?
Um, like, I just have a knowing most of the time of like which way to go, like what decision to make. Um, but
Okay. So what's so wrong with that? Why
um,
do you want to be like everyone else and be able to hear them?
yeah, I don't know.
Do you know there's people who can hear their guides who they just wish they had that? That's called claircognizance. So I
Okay.
have claircognizance too, where I'll just know, but I can also hear,
Okay.
right? I don't see anything, but I can hear and I have
Yeah.
claircognizance. I freaking love claircognizance.
Okay.
Like I love it. Other people wish they had that.
Okay.
So it's
Be
like
careful what you wish for.
well, be careful what you wish for. Not even really that. It's just like let's so appreciate what you have because that is such a gift to have claircognizance. Just that clear inner knowing. You just know.
I just know.
You just know. Right? There's so many things that happen in my life. No one had to tell me anything. I don't listen to the media at all. I don't follow
Yeah.
the media at all. But then things will happen and the whole thing with, the pandemic that happened and all that. And they were just things I just knew and no
Hmm.
one had to tell me. And then, you couldn't get away from it on social media. Like you couldn't
Right.
to save your life. Right.
Right.
But then I'd see other people being like, oh yeah, did you see this or this or this or that or whatever, as time went on. And I'd be like, yeah, I knew that from the beginning. Like I just knew that
Knew
I knew
it.
that I
Yeah.
knew.
Hmm.
Right. That's
Yeah.
an amazing thing because it helps you if you listen to it you're
Hmm.
not wishy-washy,
Right.
right? You can be decisive. So it's not just like hearing like, well, it's okay either way, but here's what we would recommend. If you hear from your team, it's like, no, I know it.
Yeah.
Oh, just be so thankful,
Yeah. Okay. I
right?
will be. I
Right?
will.
Yeah, that's because that knowing that you have,
What
that's
did you
your
call it?
authentic claircognizance,
Okay.
that knowing that you have, this is me, this is, and I'm listening to my team, but this is me. It's you being more in touch with the God you inside of you than one step removed.
Like a
I'll
third
explain.
party.
Well, it's not that because we're all one,
Right.
right?
Right.
We're
Right.
all one, and our team is still obviously part of Creator. We're part of Creator, but it's almost like the Catholic Church. Why do you need to go confess your sins to the priest,
Right. Right.
right? So you're one step removed from God, supposedly, right?
Right.
One step removed. So why do you want to be? Why do you want to feel? Oh, I want that one step removedness
Hmm.
by hearing from my guides instead of just having that inner knowing that is of my authentic God self.
Yeah.
Like that is the closest connection. That
But I
is your
wonder.
connection to your
some-
godness.
But sometimes I wonder if I'm so keen on it because like I had two parents that weren't parents, right?
Me
So I
too.
had to
So
rely
maybe
on,
that's why.
you know what I mean? I just wonder if it's like just such a refined, sharp skill because that's all I got.
I never thought of it like that. I never thought of it like that because like my mom would say things to me. Like I remember one thing specifically when I was a junior in high school, she'd be like, "Oh no, no, don't go to college. Just get out
Yeah.
there and get working and start making money." But something in me just knew that no, college is for me. Like
Yeah.
I'm meant to go to college, not because everyone else was doing it, but for me, I knew that was my path. Like I just knew that I knew that was my path.
Hmm.
And I didn't say anything. I don't know. I may have said something to her, but I said at least to myself, I'm looking around at your life and the way you live and the decisions you made, and you're the last person I'm going to listen to or take advice from.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening to me inside,
Yeah.
and I did.
Yeah, which is funny because it's like you're either with them or against them. I
Yeah.
swear. Because you either end up exactly like that or like I remember being 5 years old, literally, and scanning a room and going, I have to get out of here as soon as I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
having a knowing from a
You
really,
just
really
know.
young
Yeah.
age of like,
Yeah.
you got to get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's knowing. And I used to tell people this. If my mom ever saw eye to eye and agreed on anything, it was total coincidence. It wasn't because I was listening to her or taking her advice. It
Yeah,
was just because it was coincidence because the inside me was telling me the same thing she was telling me. And
yeah,
that's all it was is coincidence.
right,
It wasn't because I was like listening to her.
right, right,
You know?
right.
And so
Yeah.
that doesn't make for a good relationship between a mother daughter at all,
Oh, mhm.
right? Because I always said my whole life as a youngster, I said, I know what's best for me, and I'm not listening to anyone else tell me what's best for me because I know what's best for me, and that's what I'm going to do. And I never drank. I never did drugs. I never did anything, like nothing.
Does
Like I
she
kept straight and narrow.
does she feel like you think that you are better than her?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's the dynamic between me and my mom. And I'm like, I don't. But
Right,
but I cannot escape that with her.
right. And
She's
that's
like,
their
"You think you're
issue.
better than me." And I'm like, "No,
That's
I
their
don't." But
issue. Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's their issue. And so here, use this. My guides taught me this when I had a person who used to be my friend. Not so long ago, it was almost a year ago.
Okay.
Get in this drama situation of, oh, I gotta move and I don't have anywhere to go, and I'm like, okay, I really don't have room in my house, but she's really desperate and I feel like I need to help her out because she's my friend. And I told her that I would literally move all my kids' rooms around and get rid of my in-home hypnosis studio because it was during the pandemic and I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can put him in there for a bedroom and give you my daughter's bedroom and move my daughter into his room. And like, it was this huge thing. And I had all this work going on. Anyway, so I was just like, okay, I can have you do it, but you can't move in till and it was the end of June last year. You can't move in till the end of June. I'm talking like the 29th, because there's no way I can get it ready before then. I'm going to be in Florida for like over a week for a soccer tournament. Like I won't be here. I can't do it any sooner. Okay, okay. But then it was like multiple text messages and calls every single day. Oh my gosh, I got to get in. I got to get in because I didn't take off work that week, and so now I got to start moving my stuff in early and like, and I'm like, there's no place for you to put your stuff, like
Yeah.
except in the middle of my living room.
And all of a sudden it's your problem.
And then thank you. This is what my gut. So it was a disaster. I moved my entire house around, stressed under the pressure of her constantly. And 2 days later, she moved out.
Yeah.
And then I had to move everyone back.
Yeah.
And she helped zero,
Mm-hmm.
zero. And I told her, okay, the rent was X number, whatever it was. And if we do it even on a day, break it on into a daily, the time you were here and had your stuff occupying that room, just give me $100 for my time and we'll call it even. Do you know? She said yes and then left without giving me a dime.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, that was the end of that friendship.
So I just ended a similar friendship, and I feel like the theme there is that I constantly attract people that I want to help, and then they see me as having more, so they don't feel bad about doing those kinds of things. Because I don't know how to explain it to you, but like I can completely see it clear as day. Like they just see me as having more, and that I will be fine, and maybe they won't.
That's exactly what it is.
It's so fucking annoying.
Yeah. Well, so then I cut her off and blocked her on everything. And not that she's tried to get in touch with me that I know of, but going through all of that, I just said to my guides, what is the lesson in this for me? What
Right.
is the lesson? Because I don't want to go through this stuff again, this kind of thing again, right? Let me learn this lesson. What is the lesson in it for me?
Yeah.
Right? And then she brought her dog, and her dog terrorized my house.
Of course.
Terrorized my house when she swore it was like the most angel dog ever.
Hmm.
Terrorized my house and my other pets. I had to keep my pets locked in my room.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Awful. And
Well,
then
I do feel like I have a couple of those things, like that you just described, that just keep happening to me over and over and over again. Like I'm a glutton for punishment, you know.
okay,
So.
so just always ask yourself that question. What is the lesson in this for me? Because if you can learn it, you don't have to continue learning it through
Hmm.
pain and suffering.
Okay.
Then you're done. You're done with it. So I asked, what's the lesson in it for me? And my guides were like, and I'll tell you what they told me, NMP. They said, I want you to learn NMP, not my problem.
Yeah.
Her problem was not my problem.
Yeah.
I made it my problem. And then I suffered by
Hmm.
trying to help her, allowing her to make her problem my problem.
Yeah. And she dumped it all right on you, didn't
She
she?
dumped it all on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so then now they add to it a little bit. They've added to it. It's always NM, but then there's another one, NMD. They're like, and that wasn't your drama, not my
Yeah.
drama. And then trauma, if someone tries to just have me be like their energetic toilet, it's not my trauma.
Yeah. So
Help you work through it.
that would be the only thing that comes up with as far as a work scenario. So like I feel like I'm on the right path. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but because of what I'm doing, I feel like I have a hard time setting boundaries between. Sometimes I just don't even want to go in there because it's everybody's, not even just their problems. It's not negative, but it's just all their energy. So, like, this is kind of new for me in the last 5 years. And I'm so busy now that there's so many energies in there at one time, and they all want a little piece of me. So how do I make myself available without like totally handicapping myself?
Okay, well, the first thing is I'm gonna pose that question to your higher self, but the first thing is you always have to put you first, right?
Yeah.
You're always first. And that just has to always be the thing top of your mind. Like I didn't put myself first in that situation. So that
Right.
was like a good reminder and a good lesson, right? Always, always put yourself first. It's not best for me and my family to throw my son in a room that doesn't, it's not functional as a bedroom,
Yeah.
right? And then what do I do with all my hypnosis, like my studio stuff? My studio is gorgeous, right? So then I lose that space to just go in there and meditate, or even when I want to, just open the barn doors on it and look at it. And I just look at it and tell
Or
it how
just have
beautiful
it.
it is to
Even
just
if you
have
don't
it.
have it, just to have it. Yeah.
I love to just have it and look at it and tell it how beautiful it is and how much I appreciate that space,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I love it. It brings me joy. So
Yeah.
I gave up my joy, something that brings me joy, to try to please and help her.
Yeah.
Right? So it's I didn't put myself first. So we always have to put ourselves first. And do you protect your space? Do you ground yourself? Do you shield yourself? Do you do those things or do you
No,
not know?
I don't. I don't.
Okay. So write this down. Here's a course that you want to take and you want to take it ASAP. I think it starts up on June 1st again.
Okay.
It's only 4 weeks and it's only an hour and a half a week.
Okay.
So it's bpi.org, Boulder Psychic Institute.
Okay.
You want to take 101, 102, and 103.
Okay.
Each one is only 4 weeks and
Okay.
an hour and a half, and it's $100.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you could very likely write that off as a business expense,
Yeah.
not a CPA,
Yeah.
right? But you could probably write it off
Disclaimer.
because it's training for your business, right?
Right. Right.
Energy healing training,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it will change your life. You
Yeah.
will learn things in there you will use the rest of your life.
Okay.
And it's going to be the 4 must-dos every day. And I have a video on my YouTube channel called the 4 must-dos every day. I do them slightly different because you get bored doing this exact same thing every single day. So I kind of mixed it up a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's very similar to what they do. It's grounding, shielding, cutting cords, and protecting your energetic space.
Okay.
You clear your energetic space, you ground yourself. And I was going to ask you about grounding earlier because you said something a while ago about using your husband to keep you grounded or something that you float all over. And
Ability.
I
Yeah.
was like,
I'm flapping in the breeze.
right.
Yeah.
So you gotta ground yourself. So that'll be critical for you. So if you take that course, so this is what I would recommend is take that course and um, you're gonna hear a meditation at the very beginning. Record it. So like I have these little mini recorders. So I would put the phone. This is how I did it. I put the phone on speaker and I would record the meditation and then do it every single day until the next class. And then I'd record over it the meditation next week because they do the same meditation and then they tack a little more on the end each week.
Oh, okay.
It's an amazing meditation that you'll use the rest of your life. I mean, it's
Okay.
really, really, really good. It's like 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Oh, cool.
It's really good, maybe 10, but, and that'll ground you and clear your energetic space and all that. But it's so good. You will learn skills in there that will help you with those things that you just asked,
Yeah. Okay,
feeling
cool.
overwhelmed with other people's energy and how to shield it. Like right now between you and me, there is you'll learn, it's called a psychic rose. There's a psychic rose between us. And
Okay.
that psychic rose, you can put it up between anybody. That psychic rose, I set the intention for that to absorb the energy from you so that it doesn't come to me.
Okay.
So I don't want to be like the energetically trying on your trauma. I don't
Right.
want to energetically try on like, oh, what would that feel like? No,
So
you
funny.
know?
Honestly, this you were like looking up something or typing something like, give me a minute. And I was sitting here looking at you going, how does she do this all day, every day? Right? Because I'm
Right?
thinking of like all this, you're taking on everybody's crap that they're just like, so, okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, in the mornings, I'll do it at lunch. When on our lunch break, I'll do it, and then I do it after our session, and then I do it again when I go to bed. So I'm like really extra when it comes to shielding and clearing my space. I'm super extra, but any psychic looks at me and they're like, "Oh my God, you're like so clean. Like whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, just keep it up. Like you're so clean. Like energetically, like you are clear."
Yeah.
Because I'm super, super repetitious about it. But with my work, I have to be. And
Yeah.
so what I do is, if you remind me, I don't have my phone sitting next to me, but I have an image. It's a visual that I got of some different shields. It's
Okay.
6 or 7 different shields, and they're different levels from lowest to highest. So you'd want to set it on the highest or the second highest shield,
Okay.
to protect your space. And so like after I'm done cutting cords all around me, so it's like I visualize almost like a movie screen, and I put like it looks like a cookie cutter cutout of just my body up on the movie screen, and I see cords being cut all around me, like just light swords going all around cutting cords.
Okay.
And then my image for clearing my energetic space, those little sweepy brooms, I just sweep, 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 and put it down a drain underneath me to clear out all foreign energy, the energy that's not mine. And then I ground myself. So I imagine again that little, gingerbread version of me on the screen in my mind. I see roots growing up from the bottom of my feet, going all the way down to the center of the earth, and I feel myself grounded. But I also do things like walk barefoot outside and sit in the sun with my feet in the grass and things. So I mean, I do that too, but this
Right.
is in the morning or when I'm not outside.
Okay.
And then I put a shield of white light all around me. And then on top of that, I put one of those shields. I use the second to the highest shield. um, and then outside of that shield, I put a cloaking device from all creepy crawlers in the spiritual realm so they can't see
Yep.
me, because there's a lot of creepy crawlers in the spiritual realm
Yep.
we won't have time to get into. And
Yep.
then outside of that, because I'm extra, I put the hottest fire ever in existence. So if anything even tries to come near my shield, it gets incinerated.
Okay. Yeah. That's
And then I
actually
put the psychic rose in between people I'm dealing with. And then when we're done, I clear all my electronics.
okay.
And with bright white light, I clear them energetically so that your energy is not coming through and mixing with anybody else's energy and things like that.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
yeah, so I do that. If I have
Yeah,
a
and I'm
session,
doing
it's like 4 or
nothing.
5 times a
So
day. Right.
I'm
So you
overwhelmed.
could, in the meantime, you can look at that video. It's 12 minutes on my YouTube channel, Soul Essence Healing and Hypnosis. You can look at my video called The Four Must Do's every day.
Okay. I was
Um,
looking for that. So I saw a glimpse of that somehow. And then,
it's on my TikTok too.
yeah, I think maybe that's where I saw it. And then I could not find it for the life of me. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that's,
The Four
yes.
Must Do's. You got to click on the videos tab first,
Okay.
and then it's the Four Must Do's. And then I have a journal coming out, and it's not like a journal as in blank pages. It's a journal, like literally 10 minutes to teach you how to be a conscious creator, to remind you to be a conscious creator of every single day of your life. And in that one page that my team downloaded to me one day at 3 in the morning, it has the check box for those 4 things, to remind
O-
you to do those 4 things every day. But
Okay.
then there's things like, and then the whole back of it is full of different affirmations that I think are amazing. I've, you know, put them together with my team over the last few years. And so you can pull an affirmation to the front, you pick a body part that you want to focus on that day and send it love. Like today, it's my amygdalas,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I learned about amygdalas yesterday in a session. It's for memory and like some other things, and the
Okay.
little almond shaped things in your brain. And I was like, oh my gosh, who thinks about their amygdalas?
Right.
Amygdala, I guess it's called amygdalae when it's
Today.
plural. But who thinks about their amygdalae? No one. I'm going to think about my amygdalae and send
Yeah.
them love and appreciation.
Yeah.
Thanks for everything they've done for me my whole life and everything they're going to do,
Yes.
and
Yes.
send them love and light, right?
Yes.
So it's just little things like that reminding you and helping you to remember that you're a conscious creator. So
Okay.
I am blank. I am blank. I am a conscious creator. I
Hmm.
am a successful businesswoman. I am a partner with spirit in all aspects of my business. I am whatever. I'm a
Okay.
light. I am
Love it.
God. Right. So, anyway, watch for my email when that comes out because I'm
Okay.
still putting the last bits of that together. But
Oh, cool. How exciting.
there's my selfless plug.
I love
Selfish,
it.
selfless, whatever. um, so how do you make yourself available without handicapping yourself? So in addition to what I've just told you, let's ask your higher self what it says too. Okay.
Okay.
But those four must do's came from many people's higher selves. So I just finally just made a video of it.
Yeah, great.
So if it's not your higher self saying it, it's many, many other people's. She is so overwhelmed by everyone's energy in her business. Okay, there we go. Got that. Okay, and then with mom, I thought I had one more question about mom. What was it? Can't remember what it was. And have you learned all the lessons from that relationship, which is totally fine. Um, Anything else you had in mind, even though we've got quite a list already?
Um,
Otherwise, I have a few more I can add. That would be really awesome, unless you had
yeah,
something
I
specific.
would no, I mean, I would take your recommendation. I don't think
Okay,
so.
okay. Do you meditate?
So meditation is new for me.
Okay,
So just since I mean, I think I've been doing it, putting myself to sleep for years, but like really doing guided meditations and stuff is just something new since I made this appointment with you.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'd never done that before. I mean, I always said, like, oh, I have to meditate. Like it's, something I have to learn to do and sit and like another thing on like my checkbox.
So how do you like doing guided meditations or how does it make you feel?
I do love doing guided meditation. So I always wondered if I would know the difference between like meditative state and sleeping, you know? And I do, but I've only done meditation laying down. I don't know
Okay.
why I'm like intimidated about doing it sitting up.
Okay.
I don't know why. Isn't that a weird thing?
Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah, I mean it's just a really weird
Just
thing.
do it.
So,
Just do it. Like maybe
but
even go out in nature.
you're right, right.
Right?
But well, I just got for Mother's Day. I just got these really, really cool wind chimes, like the big ones that are really deep
Uh-huh.
and beautiful on my
Uh-huh.
patio. So, I was thinking about like we just put them out because it's been raining here. But yeah, I do like it. I am enjoying it. Um, that selfish part of me is like, well, I really want to know what happens when I'm meditating. Like, what is happening when I'm in there? Like, I wish I could remember, or I don't know.
So do you feel like a lot of it, like it feels amazing when you're doing it and then you kind of come out of it and it fades away like a dream and you're like, I know it was really amazing. What just happened?
Yeah,
Is that I know
yeah,
that's the discouraging part. So um a good thing to do is have a journal with you like right there and sit down and write like immediately when you come out, start writing in the journal everything you can possibly remember before you forget all of it. And I'll tell you this, as you write, and it's sometimes hard to tell, more is going to come to you and it's going to come out if you just ask your team like, hey, help me remember what was said or the message or the whatever the learning that I got from this meditation. And it may be stuff that came up during the meditation or it could be stuff they're actually downloading to you as you're writing it.
okay.
Either way, it doesn't matter,
Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But I've gotten so much revelation by doing, and I don't do it all the time. I wish I did, but I
right,
don't because we're always like, oh, I got to get on to the next thing, right?
right.
But when you do it, it's like you get so much incredible
Yeah.
insight, right? And
So,
another, go ahead.
well, I just feel like I'm not really aware of what's going on when I'm meditating, but I feel like it's definitely like how you said that you're like envisioning like like the roots like when you're
Mhm.
grounding, right? So I don't know for some reason like I'm envisioning like they look like veins or like things healing in my brain when that
Awesome.
happens,
Yeah.
like pathways or something. And then when I was just in Chicago, my grandmother came to me on the morning of my daughter's graduation, and we had like this whole entire exchange that was like unbelievable.
In a
And I,
meditation?
yes, and I feel like that would have never happened if I, like, I'm obviously doing a better job than I think I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it really, like, really upped my confidence about all the things that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a much better place than I'm giving myself credit for, or I would not
Yeah.
be I would not be having these experiences or these gifts.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, I could get emotional talking about it right now. It was pretty intense and pretty incredible.
Wow.
So yeah, so I want some more of that. That was great.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
more of
Okay.
that.
So it sounds like yours are a lot like mine. So eventually you may really just enjoy. So where I've gotten my most intense meditations have been in the bathtub with
Okay.
Epsom salts. And I will just turn on like soft meditation or Reiki music
Mhm.
and put some candles around, and I'll be in there for 2 hours at a time. And it's just like all this stuff, this healing stuff comes up. And I'm like, okay, just show me what can I heal? I want to heal something. What can I heal? Oh gosh, something comes. And
Really?
it's never what I think it's going to be,
Okay.
right? And I just
Yeah.
follow the thoughts and follow the thoughts and just trust that I'm hearing from my guides. And, then I'll be curled up in the fetal position, like bawling and,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, and then feeling amazing. And then when I've gone afterwards to journal my experience, that's when it's just like, whoa,
So
wow.
I need to do that because I feel like I'm already forgetting. It's already getting further and further away from me because I've never experienced anything like that. Like when my grandmother came, and that's 100% of what it was. It was just healing.
Yeah.
Like she showed me this video of her life. I mean, it was probably 1 second long, but I got to see everything, and she was doing that to explain to me the history and things repeating itself, and you know and why things are the way that they are, like in our family. It was really, really incredible, but it was all about healing. Like when I came to, I mean, like your body, when you're in meditation, you're not really fired. You're almost like your body's sleeping, right?
Yeah.
And when
Yes.
my body was fully fired and I was like engulfed in sobbing.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's like some of like my bathtub meditations,
Yeah,
sobbing.
that's what I'm relating to. Like, and God, my husband's right next to me going, "What is the matter?" It's 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, "It's
Wow.
fine. My grandma was just here."
That's funny.
But on a side note, like, what's really cool is my 13-year-old is like so intuitive and she's so cool. Like this younger generation is, I just think naturally.
Yes.
And so she sits up and she goes, "Oh my God, Mom, what's the matter?" And I go, "It's fine. Grandma was just here." And she goes, "Oh, okay." And she just rolls over, goes to bed like it's nothing.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. They're like
Like,
that.
okay.
Yeah, and like the woman yesterday, her son, when he was what, 3 or 4 years old, I think he was like 4, and he would tell his mom that he didn't like how grandma kept coming and tickling his feet every night.
Yeah,
Like he
that's
could
cool.
see her.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And and he didn't know because she died when he was a baby,
Uh,
that I think he was a baby anyway, that when he was a baby, she would always play this little game with this little thing and play with his toes.
oh wow.
Yeah. And then he was seeing her at 4 years old playing with her toes, and he's like, I can't sleep. Grandma keeps playing with my toes.
That's so cool.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I want that. I want to be able to see spirits. I keep telling my team, I want to be able to see them.
Yes, yes. Amazing. It was, but you know what? The biggest takeaway from that experience with my grandma was, so she passed away and my mom didn't tell me. And I was super close to her. And so that was a big deal for me. And so the biggest takeaway was, she was laying there in the bed and we were holding hands and we were sobbing together. And she was like, "See, if you thought that this is what you needed, you didn't, because I'm with you all the time." But visually gave me the experience of that, and so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Wow. there's so much. There's so much. You'll see, like when you get into the meditations, there's so much. It's amazing. And if you have, I mean, your schedule sounds super busy and you got this business going on and everything, but if you did ever have time to do a theta healing class, those are life changing and they
Okay.
are amazing. And in one 3-day class, it's usually like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of thing, or maybe a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Um, you'll walk out with deep, deep healing that you're like, this was my impression when I walked out. I was like, oh my gosh, from those 3 weekend classes, I feel like I got over 2 years worth of what would have taken me over 2 years to heal on my own.
Wow. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's cool.
really deep, intense, and releasing and letting go. Because I mean, we can't do everything in one session. So
Right?
this is like having a, and this is what I said, and a couple people's higher
Data.
selves were like theta, theta, and you can, they're all over the place. You can find them in person or online. You're by Detroit, you can find them there.
Okay.
Um, but um, so this session is like going to the gym and having a day with a personal trainer, or your higher self, the personal trainer, right? Who's going to give you this homework, show you some exercises, make you feel good about yourself, but then it's up to you to go to the gym every day, which is meditation is
E.
the doorway to the gym, right? That is the gym. That's the building of the gym is meditation, right? So you have to go into the building to get this workout. And then it's things like affirmations when you and positive, those two to go together, affirmations and positive self-talk. Because if you hear yourself saying something negative to yourself, it's like being conscious and catching yourself and then changing that. And
Hmm.
I'm like, cancel clear. I mean, this, right?
Yeah.
Like, cancel clear that.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. And so just doing and whatever homework your higher self gives you. So
Okay.
that's going to be that's why you're getting this personal training session with here's the exercises you do, now go do them. Maybe it's drinking way more water. Maybe it's because I found out that through this, everyone's higher self tells them to drink way more water, not just
Really?
more water, it's way more water.
Okay.
And that is what helps our bodies become lighter and raises our vibration.
Hmm.
It's the water. So anyway, so whatever homework your higher self gives you, that's your workout.
Okay.
Now, your workout 6 months from now could look totally different than what it does today because you will have mastered some of the other things. And, when you work out at the gym, your muscles are like, okay, I'm used to this one. I'm not building any more muscle because now I'm just like so used to this repetition. Give me
Hmm.
something a little bit different. And then so you'll go back to a personal trainer and they'll be like, okay, let's mix it up a little bit and let's do these exercises instead. Right.
Right.
So it may not look, you're still working the same muscles, but it may look a little bit different. They're going to add on to it, increase the weights or whatever they're going to do. So just know that it's going to evolve, right? Obviously, it's going to evolve, but it's a really awesome way to get your workout plan. And so, but it's
Oh,
up to you, of course, to do it,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, so you got the good meditation going on. And then where was I going with that? I thought I had a question.
So did I just basically say to you, like, yeah, I just started, but my grandma came to me? Is that what I said?
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. So, but my meditations took off like that too.
Okay.
So I didn't meditate for years because I was like, it just sounded like this way big thing, right? And I wasn't sure like how to do it or where I would start
Or
or
like that you would maybe fail,
right,
right?
right,
Like that you could or couldn't do it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can meditate, right?
Yeah.
But mine took off just like yours, where they were amazing. So I actually made myself this, like we had this giant walk-in closet in the hallway of this house I lived in before. And I just had a whole bunch of crap just thrown in there. And so one day I decided with the excuse that I was doing it for my daughter who liked meditating at the time too. I was like, oh, for Christmas, I'm going to surprise her and I'm going to totally clean out this closet, like take everything out. And I'm going to put up like all this cool spiritual looking stuff and little lights, little sparkly lights and meditation table and like all this stuff. And I made it so freaking cool. And it was totally private, and it was like this really cozy, closed in space. And it was amazing. And my daughter was just blown away. And then she almost never used it. But then I was in there every single day. And I was like, oh, okay, I see. I really made this for myself, right?
Yeah.
But because I just became so addicted to that because I was like, this is amazing. Amazing doing this and getting all this wisdom and this insight and everything because it took off for me like it did for you, where I was just having these incredible experiences and they would always all be different. And I'd come out of the meditation closet and say to my kids, oh my God, I just had the most amazing meditation. And my kids are like, Mom, you say that every
Really?
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, but it was.
Yeah. They're like, okay. Okay.
Right?
Hmm.
But anyway, so here's a question I was thinking that would be good. What are the top 3 things she can do that would have, that would have the greatest, most positive impact in her life? That's straight up homework.
Yeah.
Whatever your higher self says,
Yeah.
that's straight up homework.
Bob.
What about any health questions? Are you good there?
Um, I think I'm good. I think a lot of like any health issues that I've had like have to do with what we were addressing, like with cortisol and the and just the whole like endocrine system imbalance because like before I quit drinking, I was on this water pill. I was just having this massive um, water retention. I had my veins scanned. I mean, it wasn't my liver, it wasn't my heart. And I mean, it would be painful. And it would be 10, 12, 14 pounds sometimes of water.
Wow.
So that's a lot. Now, I quit drinking and I have, like, all of that has stopped, but I don't necessarily feel like it's just alcohol. I mean, I think alcohol affects your hormones and all that stuff. So I do think that it has a lot to do with that. But I think that it's just like I'm just balancing out a little bit more.
Okay. I'm going to add to this then. Can you bring healing and balance to her endocrine system and every organ in her body that's been affected by so much cortisol and the alcohol? Cortisol being released in her body over the body and the alcohol over the years, and clean that up. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone there.
Yeah.
Okay. And it sounds to me like you came here to heal the generational trauma, the
Yeah.
generational pattern of drinking,
Yeah.
of addiction.
Yeah.
Right? And you broke it.
Yeah.
But you wanted to experience it first.
Yeah. Why not?
Right. You can't beat them, join them, right?
Exactly.
But you did it to break it. So I mean it's all good. All's well that ends well, right?
Yeah.
Um
I'm just
and
I'm grateful that it's just come so easy for me. It's just a knowing. That's all it is. Everyone's like, "How did you quit drinking?" I'm like, "It's just a knowing that I just shouldn't drink." That's all it is.
yeah, it's that
No,
claircognizance. I'm
yeah,
telling you,
not for me.
it's such a gift. It's such a gift. So is there anything she can do? Let me see. Let's ask this. Is there anything she can do? So how a higher self explained this to me not long ago with how our guides are. How was our higher self is kind of like our mother,
Hmm.
and our guides are like caring aunts,
Okay. I
right?
love. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I'm saying the claircognizance and being in touch with that God that is you is just so much more where it's at
Yeah.
than calling your aunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mom who is everything and is there for you all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you have that, not to say you don't need your guides, it's fun to use our guides and all of that, but we really are meant to be directed totally inward to
Yeah.
ourselves,
That's really cool, and I
right?
love the explanation of that.
Yeah. So is there anything she can do to have a deeper connection with her entire spirit team? How about that? And that includes
Yeah.
your higher self. And that'll be straight up homework too.
I love it.
Okay, and then the last questions I always ask are, who on her spirit team wanted her to have this session and what did they most want her to hear or learn? And then are there any other messages that you want to share before we end this session? And then if she takes all of the information from this session and incorporates it into her life, how will her life be different going forward compared to what it would have been like had she not done this session?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. And the answers I get are incredible. I mean, yeah, all the way up to, oh, she would have had to have repeated this situation because she was on the verge of leaving her husband and they have a contract to not, she has a contract to not leave him for in this lifetime. And she would have, so then she would have had to basically repeat this life in another life.
Yeah, I don't want
So,
to do that.
yeah, right.
Repeat.
So she was really glad. She was really glad to hear that one.
Yeah.
Like, oh shoot. Okay, I almost stepped off the edge of that cliff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But her higher self was super clear about it.
Yeah. I can feel that.
But that's the only person who said to that extreme. But I get a lot of great answers for that one. Anything else that you can think of that you were just like, oh gosh, I have to ask this particular question? Or
I don't think so.
okay.
I think we nailed.
Do you do anything like have you ever learned Reiki or balancing your chakras or clearing your aura or anything like that, or no?
I've had it done,
Okay.
but
You should get a Reiki person in your place. Oh my
well,
gosh.
I know. So there's this girl, Shannon. She's a sister of one of my employees, and I mean, she's incredible. So she did a Reiki session on her sister, right? But she doesn't know really what she doesn't know how to interpret anything or what to do with it. It's like my employee was literally like almost convulsing on the table. Like it was crazy. But she's like a little afraid of it. She's so good. But she's in school right now to be an addiction counselor. So no doubt we will work together. I already know that. Like something will facilitate there.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I'm just scanning through my list of questions here to see if anything jumps out at me. So give me 1 second. Oh, you mentioned earlier something about personal boundaries. Did you say you had an issue with your boundaries sometimes?
I think that was just at work.
Okay. Okay. So you feel like you're good at putting up boundaries?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I think I just need to practice the things that you said.
Okay.
That's what I think I think that's what that is.
Okay. Yeah, it feels complete. Okay. So we'll leave it at that. We'll end this session here. Stay on here. We'll talk a little bit logistics, but I'll just end the recording
Okay.
here now and invite everyone back for part two, which is the hypnosis session.